you find out that this is kind of a Trojan horse, and it's got a bunch of communists inside.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and welcome back to the Chinook Podcast. My name is Brad Donovan. I'm here with Jamie Souls.
Hello.
And with Pastor Nathan Zekfeld.
Hey.
And we have an in-studio guest today, Mr. Jeremy Barendregt.
Hello.
So today we're going to have a good, fun conversation about things. But before we begin,
Before we begin,
book reviews.
we'll do book reviews.
Yeah. Jamie, what do you got?
Well, I think I probably have mentioned somewhere before the extended Ender verse.
The
talking
Enderverse.
about the Enderverse. It's what Orson Scott Card's books on Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow, and there's a whole great series of books that sprang out of that. The one I want to highlight is actually a prequel where people, it's always the case that there was something that went on before,
Yes.
right, that might help you understand
The thing.
the thing.
Well,
right?
nobody does ex nihilo narration unless you're God.
Unless you're exactly. So the book that I want to speak about is called First Meetings. First Meetings is it's a short little 3-essay book by Orson Scott Card, laying the groundwork. You know, when we get into Ender's Game, you've got this uber smart kid who is so good at playing this particular game, and his big brother, we find out, was really, really good at it too, and we find out that his big sister was really, really good at it too. And how did that come about? You know, that question is bound to rise. Well, First Meetings talks about the parents of Ender Wiggin when they were not yet married, and when they met and start getting together, and all the dynamics that go on in there. Yeah, it's very entertaining. Yeah. So it's called, again, First Meetings. Mm-hmm. First Meetings by Orson Scott Card.
Okay.
All right, so I've got a book here as well, and it is entitled The Four, A Survey of the Gospels by Peter J. Lightheart. And so Peter J. Lightheart is basically doing an overview of the Gospels, giving a summary of each of the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I would say that this is a very good book to do a Bible study of in your church. I think each chapter has question and answers at the end. Yeah, so anyway, I'd encourage people to pick up The Four, A Survey of the Gospels by Peter Lightheart, and do a Bible study in your church and study the Gospels.
Excellent.
Good.
So the book I have to review is The Death of Ivan Ilyich by Leo Tolstoy. Now, if you enjoy depressing things, like I do, Russians are good to read. So, there's just something about Tolstoy. I don't know what it is, but he
when you ring the guy really hard, all the good stuff comes out.
Yeah, and he in the meantime he's going to ring you while you
Yes.
read, or in this case listen. So I'm really enjoying it. But this Ivan Ilyich guy does not get along with his wife at all, which is really funny. You get the distinct impression that he got married for the sake of, social status, and not because it was true love at first sight or anything like that.
Sounds like a Russian.
Sounds like a Russian, yeah. He got married because it was good for his career instead of, because he loved the woman. And his kids, he's kind of like, meh, I'd rather just play cards. And then he gets sick. It's hysterical. Anyway, it delights the soul so much. Anyway, Jeremy, what do you have?
So I don't read a lot of books. I listen to a lot of books because I do a lot of driving. So I listen to an awful lot of books. I think one that I listen to and I'll just listen to books over and over again, because it's not quite the same as reading if you listen to them. So if you just listen to them over and over, you kind of get the gist of it. One that I like to listen to a lot is "The Storm Before the Storm" by Michael Duncan. Yeah. He's a historian, a secular historian, but he noted a lot of similarities between the fall of the Roman Republic and kind of what's going on in the world today. So he wrote the book to kind of make an analogy to show the similarities. And so it's not a long book, but it's a very broad history of Rome, from the kings of Rome all the way to just after the fall of the Republic, when up to basically Augustus Caesar. So if you read it, you go through it. I think we're kind of in the era of the Gracchi. We're kind of, there's a lot of political upheaval. There's the Republic's not working anymore. People kind of realize the Republic's not working anymore, but we've got these constitutions and stuff that are holding people in check, but barely. And you see how it kind of progresses to the point where somebody's going to stand up and say, you know what, we just need a dictator. We just need somebody that can crack this open and fix it all. Like
an Augustus.
Like Julius Caesar did. Sulla kind of started it.
Yep. He did actually.
That was kind of the idea with Adolf Hitler too.
Yeah, and then just fix it all, and then we'll just go back to having a republic again, and everything will be good.
But you never go back to the Republic.
Never quite goes back.
No.
That's.
I think the other thing about it is to see that it's not necessarily bad intentions. It's not, the guy who stands up as a dictator, Julius Caesar. I don't think he had bad intentions. I think he had good intentions. I think he maybe even intended to reform the Republic after his dictatorship. He just never could quite let it go. And then of course he gets killed.
He gets stabbed,
and that's the end of it. That's and Brutus thought he was doing a good thing too by killing Julius Caesar.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He was killing the dictator, and he just solidified the dictatorship. So it's an interesting read. I think it's an important history to know. Mm-hmm. Not that what happened then is going to happen now, but it's interesting to see how those politics kind of play out.
Yeah. Well, I don't think history repeats itself. I think it rhymes.
Yes.
So you can look for themes and types and be like, this is a potential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I recently wrote a paper.
Patterns.
Yeah, I recently wrote a paper on Substack about this. Because I also think Duncan's right about being in the Gracchi agrarian reform period. Mm-hmm. If we're going to draw an analogy between Rome and America in particular. Mm-hmm. One of the things in my paper I argued was that Rome reinvented itself through crisis. Mm-hmm. So we go kings, republic, empire, and then empire splits. Part of it falls apart, reinvents itself. You've got the Byzantines over here reinventing themselves. So it's constant reinvention. I think America's going to come to that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're there yet, but yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a very interesting 10 years, I think, from here on out. I think there's a lot of history going to be written about what happens to us in the next 10 years. But what that is, I don't know. We're kind of in a watershed moment where very small decisions will have very big consequences.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We might have seen one of those 2-3 days ago when Zelensky got kicked out of the White House.
Yesterday.
Yesterday that was.
Yeah, it was interesting. That was
very interesting.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
It was a spectacle. I wasn't impressed by the
by the spectacle.
By the spectacle. It was a little bit. But you don't see those things happening. Normally they're not televised, right?
No, exactly.
But I guarantee you stuff like that has happened all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking to somebody, they were like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened in the Oval Office. And I was like,
no.
It's not even close.
That's not even close.
Have you heard of any other president in history? I mean,
Lyndon B. Johnson has a reputation.
Yes.
I
was thinking about him in particular.
In the White House. So,
it
when you get into a debate like they were in, and it turns into kind of a brawl like that,
that's happened before.
They're just. I think what's important for people to see is that they're humans in high office too.
Yeah. And
they have fights and spats just like everybody else. There's not some, it's not all posh British accents and drinking copious amounts of tea. It's like it gets a little bit messy and it gets a little bit dirty, and people say things that maybe they shouldn't have, and tempers flare. And if you think that doesn't happen at the highest levels of government, and then you need to be more realistic about how your view of government. Like, they're just people too.
So that book was The Storm Before the Storm, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah. Mike Duncan.
Duncan.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy's got a couple of really good podcasts, the History of Rome podcast and Revolutions, and they're both worth listening to.
Okay.
The History of Rome podcast is very in-depth and very, very long. I haven't finished it yet. I think
it's a couple hundred episodes.
I'm pretty sure.
No kidding.
Oh, wow.
Well, his Revolutions podcast, he goes through, he starts with the English Civil War and goes through to the end of the Russian Revolution. The Russian Revolution was 205 or 208 episodes just on that one. Yeah, and they're all 45-minute.
An in-depth historian.
Yes.
Talking away about that, which he loves.
Yes. It's great stuff.
Yeah, and he doesn't bring a lot of bias to it like some historians will. They'll be reading a lot of stuff into the history, and I appreciate him for just he tells the story.
Tells the story. Good.
And you can tell that he's a liberal, but not because of how he tells the story. It's the comments maybe that he made, in his introduction.
Right.
Where he's, the products he advertises or whatever. You're like, yeah, he's a bit leftist, but he just tells the story. Yeah.
So we should get into our topic for today.
Let's do that.
Because I have a sense that oil and gas is going to be it's going to play a major role in whichever way the tides of empires turn in North America in the future. Anyway, but we should start talking with Jeremy about his work.
Yeah.
And
What do you do?
well, the interesting thing for our podcast listeners is Brad and Jeremy and myself all worked together at one point between 2014 to 2015.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe.
We were just children back then.
Yeah, we were baby-faced children. Yeah.
Well, I was.
Then they came to church and I sang them songs.
I was even more of a child than them. So.
Well, I do have a funny story about a pipe wrench, but
I think we all got funny stories we probably shouldn't tell.
it's true.
Yeah. So Jeremy, tell us then what it is that you do these days in your field of work. Just tell us what does Jeremy Barendregt do?
So one of the back when we were all working together, it was a brand new thing. It was unconventional shale gas drilling. It was basically the oil company started drilling into shale gas formations horizontally and producing that gas. And so when they would drill in horizontally, it would basically allow them to get the well exposure to way more gas than just a vertical hole. And part of that was fracking. So fracking is basically just you pump water and sand into that shale formation. And the shale is kind of like, stacked metal plates, and the gas is in between the cracks in those plates. So when you frack, you push sand into those cracks, and then it props them open. And we call it propant, the sand.
Okay.
So it props those cracks open, and it allows the gas to flow out of those out of that formation easier. So when we were working together years ago, these were they were small wells. We were using a couple of thousand cubic meters of water and maybe 1,000 tons of sand. And as time has gone by, these wells have gotten
much bigger.
Much bigger. So we're drilling thousands of kilometers, 6-7 kilometers.
Yep.
We're doing hundreds of zones in these formations that we're fracking, and we're pumping tens of thousands of, even hundreds of thousands of cubic meters of water.
Yep.
And hundreds of thousands of tons of sand into these wells, and they're producing a lot of gas. Like the efficiency of these wells is
some of them
insane.
Yeah,
so,
some of them are screamers.
Yeah, I mean, there's wells now. Back when we were, back in 2012, 2014, it would be a month of drilling, and then we'd get completion set up. It'd be like 6 months from when we started a well to when we finished it. I think we did and it was a smaller oil well a couple of weeks ago. It was probably 14 to 18 days from when they started drilling to when it was in production.
Wow.
Wow. It's fast.
It's very fast, like 8 days of drilling.
Yep. That is a small well, yeah.
And it is a small well. It was like 3 or 4 days of fracking.
Yeah.
So
I bet you it was Upper Montney.
it was Upper Montney.
Yeah, how did I know?
Yeah, it's produced. I don't know exactly what that well is going to produce, but I would assume
It's
between
mostly Condi.
it's going to be 14 to 18,000 or 1,800
Yep.
barrels a day production. So
Yeah.
so we've optimized a lot of what we were doing back then, and we're able to very quickly and very efficiently drill these wells now. So
Yep.
one of the issues has been water. So it takes a lot of water to do fracking. They used to truck it all to site. Trucking was very hard on the infrastructure. It took a long time. So in 2012, 2014, an industry kind of started that we would set up pumps and water lines, and we would pump this water from lakes or streams or
Like dugouts.
and we'd pump it to these locations. And as these wells grew, that just became a bigger and bigger business. And so in 2018, 2019, me and my brother started a water transfer company, and we pump water to frac locations.
Okay. What's your company called?
Riptide Energy Solutions.
Okay.
Yeah. And very often, I'm in frac, so I'm on the receiving end
Yeah, we
of
pump,
Jeremy's water.
we
Right.
pump water to Brad, and Brad pumps it down the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
And then, okay, so one day, there's been multiple times where I've been on sites where Jeremy's been supplying water. But the one day I have my blender, somebody who was supposed to fill it with diesel forgot. Mm-hmm. And so it shut us down. It was like an $80,000 mistake. Wow. Yeah. $80,000 in direct costs, about $200,000 in indirect costs.
There was some upset people.
There were some very upset
I noticed on my end. It was
There was a lot of upset people, including me. All of a sudden, my blender shuts off. But anyway, so when we sanded off the well, had to call out coil. So I get this text, and I'm sitting in the data van, and we're basically we've realized the screw up and the magnitude of it, and we're having these sharp discussions that you have when this happens. And I get this text, and I look at my phone, and Jeremy's like, "Hey, texting me." Okay, so I open my phone and I look in the message. He's like, "So should I send some of my guys over to teach your guys how to keep diesel in a tank?" And do you remember what I sent back?
no.
I sent back, "No, please don't, because they'll overfill it, and then we'll have diesel on the ground."
So I don't know if I told you, but it was a summer job, so that one it was pumping water in the summer is
Much easier.
way easier than pumping water in the winter.
Yeah.
But we were pumping from Claremont. We were pumping from Aquaterra's lagoon.
Their wastewater.
Wastewater, basically Claremont sewer water. And I think that line was about 36 kilometers long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when frac goes down, then we have to stop pumping. We have nowhere to pump.
Right.
I had a couple of rental pumps on that line, and they were brand new pumps. They were 6-7 hour pumps, and they were just tearing themselves apart.
Really?
And there was one where the prime assist was falling off, and there was oil spilling out. So when you went down, then we could go down, and I could quickly
Fix
swap
that.
some of that stuff out to fix it. And so that actually kind of saved me from having to
Shut
you
me
guys
down.
stop. we didn't say anything. We just quickly fixed it. But we were on our last legs there with a couple of those new pumps. They were these nice brand new Cummins Tier 4.
And falling apart.
Just tearing themselves apart. And we weren't even running them that hard. They were overheating, and parts were falling off of them. And
Quality control ain't what it once was.
No, so we swapped those out a minute, and then I poked fun of you for a minute, and then
And such is the oil patch. Yeah.
So you're moving water, and during the summer, it's obviously a pretty simple task because you're just pumping it wherever you need to pump it. But during the winter, like how do you keep this stuff from freezing over?
Well, so we'll heat it at, and usually we heat it at the source. So there's a big, when we usually run them on compressed natural gas. It's a big superheater, and we pump the water through it, and we'll heat the water up to 30, 40 degrees Celsius, and then we pump it up the line. So in the issue that we have in the winter is that everything is wonderful when we're pumping, but if we can't pump anywhere, if the line goes down, then we're freezing. And especially when it's cold outside, we can freeze
Very quickly.
quite fast. So
Yeah.
in the winter, it's a very stressful job. We do, most companies will have contingencies in place. We'll have water storage on both ends that we can pump into. But there are some companies where we call it suicide fracking, where I did two in that cold snap when it was minus 40.
Yeah.
The one was I think it was 26 kilometers,
Wow.
and we had 200 cubes of buffer.
That's it?
We're pumping, it's like aiming a cannon at an ant. You got no options. And then everybody was having issues. Coil tubing was having issues. And so it just gets really, really stressful. At one point when we fired up that line, we were down for 5 or 6 hours. When we fired it up, the water was coming onto site at 0.01 degrees.
So just about slush.
So almost slush.
Basically, it was slush, and we were trying to keep that flowing. And
So
get that
you've
one
got a
up.
200 cube buffer and 26 kilometers?
There was about 1,200 cubes in the line,
Right. So half your volume, more than half your volume is in the line sitting.
just sitting in the line. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have nowhere to pump it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's stressful too on my end because the worst thing that can happen to a crew cabber is your surface iron freeze off because you're usually under pressure at that point, and now you've got to deal with pressurized ice, which is fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, when water starts having trouble, you're like, talk to me.
It's kind of a domino effect when one service has an issue, especially with suicide fracking. When one service has an issue, then all the other services are in trouble, like immediately.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when it's minus 40, it's just exponentially worse.
And then,
You have
then
no
the
time.
consultant figures out what's going on, and you start having somebody screaming in your ear.
Yeah, I mean, the
Well, yeah.
consultants are at that point just to tell you to, do what you need to do, or
Okay.
on this one they were like, well, maybe we should pig this line, so we'll pig the line. We'll to send a foam ball with an air compressor down the line
Clean it out, man.
and get all the water out. And I'm like, we can't pig it. It's frozen. There's no possible way we can pig it at this point. So we just have to figure it out. You have to hope that it doesn't freeze. So I haven't froze a line up yet. I've come very, very close. That probably wasn't even the closest I've come. Mm-hmm. But they do freeze off every once in a while. You just and that's it.
You're done.
You're done.
You have to clean it up in the spring.
Yeah, I mean, there are ways of getting the ice out, but they're very, very risky, and we won't really do it. Like basically what you'll do is you'll hook an air compressor up to it, and you'll just blow until the ice gives way. But then you blow chunks of ice everywhere, and
then you're launching ice.
it's very, very dangerous. So that's basically your only option is to wait till spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually on a job last spring. So it was about this kind of temperature right now. So like, you're -5 at night, +1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And we were just firing up, and it was one of your competitors, so it wasn't your guys. But we're told in the safety meeting at 8 o'clock you'll have water to surface and you can pressure test and frack. And we're like, oh, okay. So we get out there, we hammer everything up, we make sure it's all good. Okay, we're done. It's 8 o'clock. Let's pressure test. And they're like, water's not here yet. And you're like, well, where's the water? Well, it's not here. Yeah, they're working on it. Oh, they're working on it. Okay, so everybody go around, check everything again. 10 o'clock rolls around. Where's water? Oh, they're working on it. I'm like, okay, this is normal, right? They're having an issue, whatever. That's kind of normal. So we're doing all our checks, and finally our guys are just everybody's just sitting there, just lounging. Like, because we got nothing to do. And I walked over to the guy running the superheater on site, and I was like, do you have any idea what's going on the water line? He's like, oh, yeah, they included me in their group chat. because when they change rates, they need to tell the heater guy.
Right.
Because if they drop rate or grab rate, that affects how he runs a superheater. So he's like, oh yeah, they're having massive trouble. They froze off 8 kilometers away. And I'm like, it's +1. How did they do that? And he said, well, it's a 16-kilometer line, and they got water to the halfway mark somehow, but it didn't get here.
And it was cold at that spot, maybe.
It was cold, but I'm sitting there going like, how did they freeze that off? It must have been sitting there for a long time. Mm-hmm. So what had happened was they got the line half full, and then they had a valve that somebody accidentally shut, and their pump lost prime because the valve was downstream on the suction side of that pump. I think it was their second pump. And they couldn't figure out why the pump lost suction. So they're looking at the pump, thinking something was wrong with the engine. And they spent 4 or 5 hours fighting with this pump. And then the water that had actually made it beyond before the guy closed the valve, it all froze. So,
well, and that's the problem in the winter, and that's why I don't get a whole lot of sleep in the winters, because everything is on a clock. Like
yes.
In the summer, if you have an issue, frac will be waiting, and people will be upset, and you get chewed out. But
whatever,
you're not going to freeze a lineup in the winter. If you have an issue, then you're in 4 or 5 hours.
Yes.
Then you're not
pumping.
You're not pumping that line. That's not gonna. It's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
So, we usually like to make you guys wait for us.
Yeah, and we like to make you guys wait for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm further upstream than you, so I can.
Yeah, you have levers.
Yeah.
But the thing is billable hours, right? So if we put on our bill that we're waiting on water, we can charge extra for standby.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's our fault that water's if water's good to go and we're not, we can't charge as much for standby. So we're very careful about that.
And Brad usually costs more than we do. So
yeah. Oh yeah. The bill that we get signed is huge.
Yeah. He dictates what goes on. So.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, perhaps our listenership. A lot of you, I think, are probably Albertans, and we've got the. It's sort of built in to our Western character that the idea of fishing oil out of the ground in order to power the world, well, of course, of course, we think that's a great idea. Clearly, there's a lot of people don't think that's a good idea. They're usually parked in apartments in Vancouver or Toronto or somewhere else, and they complain about the morality of fossil fuels and so forth. What do you have anything to say about that, Jeremy?
Well, yeah, because I think about it a lot, right? I don't want to be involved in an immoral industry. I'm not interested at all in making myself wealthy at the cost of the environment and at the cost of our children. So, yeah, is fossil fuel moral? I think it's a deep question, and I think you kind of have to talk about what our role in creation is to really get that started, right? So God creates Adam. He creates the garden. Adam's not just in the garden as one of the creatures. He's not just participating in on a creature level. God puts him there, and he tells him to tend the garden. He tells him to to look.
He's in charge of this.
He's in charge of it, and he tells him to name the animals. So he's a scientist. He's conducting biology. Zoology as a science is older than women. So he's naming the animals, but he's not just naming the animals. He's making a judgment call on the animals.
Yes,
he's assessing them. And he sees that none of them are suitable for him. So he's obviously in a position in the garden where he can make judgments on God's creation,
right?
To tend it and to take care of it. So then you get the fall, and you get a whole bunch of curses that come on, and he's going to have to work hard. He's going to be sweating. There's going to be thistles and
Thorns.
and the curse on the woman for childbirth and stuff. But another thing that happens is that Adam and Eve are naked and ashamed, and so God kills an animal to make them clothes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So as a part of the fall, that Adam's mandate is still the same. He's still tending the garden, but his existence now is having an impact on creation, a negative impact on creation. Things have to die now to sustain Adam. And so a lot of these things, when you talk to people, environmentalists, or you talk to them about what are, is it moral or not, and they'll point to, well, look at the negative impacts that you're having.
Right.
And we say, well, oil and gas has been has had huge positive impacts on the world. It's, we can make more food now than we've ever made. We can, and they'll point, no, but look at the bad stuff, right?
Right.
As Christians, the bad stuff is part of the curse. We can't get rid of that. We understand that we can't get rid of that. But there is a, and you go from creation on, and man is developing the world, and we're digging in the ground, and we're finding things. We're finding copper, and we're finding tin, and we're using those things to help us tend the garden.
Yeah.
And we're finding things that maybe aren't useful, like turnips, and we're developing. And every time we find a new thing, like we find iron, it gives us the ability to tend the garden better, but it also has a downside. We build weapons with it, and we cause war.
You can build a plow, but you can build a knife too.
And so we have to gain in maturity as we find these new things that God's buried in the ground for us to find. Right? And as we gain in maturity, we grow as a society. We become better at tending the garden. We become better at being humans and living in the creation that God's given us. And oil and gas is it's not exceptional. It's just another one of those things that we found in the ground. And there's responsibilities that come with that. We have to grow in maturity and figure out how to use this in a way that isn't destructive to the environment and that's helpful in the environment. But you'll have people that wish that we'd never found it. Wouldn't it be nice if we'd never found uranium, if it just stayed buried in the ground, if we'd never found petroleum or turnips, right?
And they expressed that opinion on devices that came out of that ground.
Right? Yeah. Well, your cell phone that you've used to complain about the oil and gas it's plastic.
Yeah, but there's something interesting about environmentalism to me. There's kind of two ditches we can fall into you can fall into the ditch of kind of hedonism. Let's exploit the world.
Right.
We've only got a short time here, and let's have as much fun with this as we can. And who really cares if tomorrow everything's broken? But there's the other ditch where we go, oh, look at the effects of the curse, and we need to get rid of that. We need to do whatever we can to get rid of that. So you get these environmentalists, and they're trying to cancel out the curse, right? They're trying to thistles and thorns they're not really bad. They're good. They're nature's beautiful and wonderful, and we shouldn't really be working that hard. There's kind of sloth comes into it. And we should just be happy, free, floating in the garden. We shouldn't kill animals. We shouldn't
run around naked.
Yeah, run around naked. Well,
maybe minus 40 in the wintertime. Yeah, not such a good idea.
I mean, PETA had the campaign, and I don't know if if it was based on that or not, but PETA had the campaign, I'd rather be naked than wear fur, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Which is very profound. I don't know if they did that intentionally or not, but that's the trade-off, right?
Yeah.
But it's sinful because God gave us fur to wear, and he said wear this, right? So they're basically saying, well, we don't need the curse never happened. We can go back to the garden. We can live in paradise. We can just pretend like none of this ever happened.
Right. Yeah. And then reality smacks you in the face.
Yeah, and I mean, what's wicked about it is that Jesus came and he died for us so that we could have redemption. And they're basically saying we don't need redemption. Yeah, we can sort all this out.
Yeah, isn't it interesting that at the bottom of those sort of objections to fossil fuels, to the development of the things in the world, there's always a rejection of what God has revealed in the Scripture, right from Genesis on. You know, if you convince yourself that the God who speaks in Genesis really isn't, like, this is just somebody talking, you'll wind up going there, and it's at the bottom. It's a religious issue.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and it's a rejection of the need for redemption. This world doesn't need redemption. We can fix it. The hardest thing to fix, of course, is death. Death has been. You saw it in COVID, right? Where the one thing we had to do was make it so that people couldn't die.
Yeah,
right.
That was like the moral imperative. People can't die unless we kill them. Unless
it's made.
Yes.
Unless it's made. Then
unless we kill them, then we're okay.
Yeah, because we have.
If God does it, oh no.
If I put it in my day planner that tomorrow I'm going to die, then it's fine. Then I'm in charge of it.
Right.
So we've kind of fooled ourselves that we've maybe conquered death that way, but
that's not conquering death. That's just accelerating it.
It's. I mean, we're fooling ourselves on a lot of levels, trying to get, convince ourselves that we don't. This world doesn't need redemption.
So one thing I've as I analyze the oil and gas industry, as people are seeking to take this gas and this oil out of the ground and use it for energy, initially and in earlier days, it does have iatrogenic effects, so negative side effects. And as we keep on taking it out of the ground, we learn about these bad side effects on humans, on the environment, etc. And but it's also the technology itself that helps us to create the technology to mitigate those side effects and actually make it safer technology. So what kind of advancements have you seen in the last decade to make it safer?
I mean, there's been, until the green movement started, there was huge advancements in things like engine efficiencies and large industrial boiler efficiencies, and basically we're just increasing our we're making it so that we're still using this product, but we're using a lot less of it. We're being frugal with it.
Efficiencies have gone up.
Significantly, especially since we found it. I mean, they used to dump oil on the ground because we didn't have a use for it. Well, we use every bit of oil now. We've got uses for it. We've
every bit of gas, condensate, we use it.
Yeah, vehicle efficiencies has increased significantly. We made horrible mistakes like leaded gasoline, right? And we've learned that was not very smart, and we've matured as people, and the technology has matured. And
leaded gasoline is a great example because the reason why gasoline was leaded was to increase lubricity. It was for the sake of lubricity in the fuel in the engine, especially when you got like a flat tappet cam. You need that lubricity, or else your tappets chatter, and then you get metal shavings in your engine. We take the lead out because burning lead is bad for the environment.
It's bad for people.
It's very bad for people. Vaporized lead is not a thing you want to inhale. So we took lead out of the fuel and ran into a lubricity problem with our engines. So you'll notice that when leaded fuel starts getting phased out, the engine manufacturers are like, we're having lubrication issues. All of a sudden, the guys making the oil, like engine oil, like your 530, your 520, whatever, your 1540, those guys start looking at their oil and adding additives to the oil to increase the lubricity of the oil because we lost it in the fuel. So you've got an increase of efficiency that happened because of that, because they started moving the lubricity from the fuel over to the oil, and you burn, hopefully, less oil than fuel.
Right.
Like that right there is an example of an improvement, just a technological improvement.
Yeah. There's that happens all across the scale. I remember as a young man working for the city water department here in town, and we would go around and we would dig up sewers on the city side and pull roots out of the system, and all that kind of stuff were going on. I remember one time walking around in an old dump site out behind the the main building for this place, and finding stuff that had been taken out of the ground and it was in the junk heap now. I remember finding in there a lead water line that you could wrap around your finger. It was so soft, that lead. But that's what they used to make water lines out of.
Yeah.
And now we don't.
Well, they figured out later on, someone had this genius idea. Well, look, you can run this water through this lead pipe and it works just great. But lo and behold, it started harming people later. Mm-hmm. But that's what we do, right? When we're trying to develop something,
Yeah.
we've got this idea and we can't see downstream all the way. We can't see what negative effect this might have until we do it for a while. And then we find, there's this terrible effect. So let's adjust it in this direction.
Let's refine it. Let's change it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that in the last 8 years I've noticed on the frac side, in a 24-hour period, a frac will burn between 30 and 35 cubes of diesel. So that's
35,000 liters of diesel.
35,000 liters of diesel in one 24-hour period.
Okay.
Now we've started bringing in natural gas. So Trican has four complete natural gas spreads, fleets. So we can do 4 simultaneous fracs with pumps that'll burn up to 85% natural gas.
Okay.
Now, what I've noticed is that we've displaced our diesel usage down to probably, on average, we've gone from 30 to 35 cubes in a 24-hour period down to anywhere between 12 and 17 cubes.
Okay.
Like that's how we've significantly chopped our diesel burn.
Right.
And we've displaced all that with natural gas.
Which is cleaner.
Much cleaner. The emissions that come out of a natural gas fire are much cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
So that's progress in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's using God's creation well. We're being frugal. We're being it's not just that our emissions are dropping, but it's also that this is cheaper and it's better and we're using less to get more. We're getting better at what we're doing.
So another area of this that I want to enter into is the issue of reliable energy. So some people might say, well, why can't we use solar energy or wind energy? Maybe you could explain the concept of reliable energy.
One of the biggest issues that batteries and solar and wind is going to have to overcome before it becomes viable, I believe, is just its capacity to hold and retain energy.
Storage.
Yeah.
Storage is a big problem.
If I have, I have 1,000-liter diesel tank on my yard that heats my house. If I fill that tank up with diesel and then don't use it, 5 years from now, there's still exactly the same amount of energy in that tank as I put in there now, right? And so I can just keep it. I can have a huge amount of energy just sitting there in a tank on my yard.
Yeah.
With a battery, it just isn't that way. A lithium battery, it doesn't matter how advanced it is. The newest ones, I can charge it up today, and in a couple of months, it's just not going to have that energy. It's gone. It's gone away. Mm-hmm. It's bulky. It's heavy compared to diesel. And this is where transportation is. There's batteries and that kind of thing is just not a viable option for transportation because it's bulky.
Yep.
And it
That's why in the transport industry, the viable options are you have a generator attached to a capacitor and a battery in your truck, in your powertrain, because you need to generate power constantly.
Right, and we've increased the efficiency of transportation, which is great.
Yeah.
But we're still using hydrocarbons. We're still using petroleum to do that. There's just no other viable option right now. In terms of that, and windmills and solar panels have advanced. Solar panels have become significantly cheaper. There's nothing really wrong with that technology. I do believe that there is something really wrong with So as humans, we innovate and we find things out and we dig in the ground and we figure out new ways of creating energy. Except that when the green movement started, governments basically said, "Hey, we're going to give you a lot of money if you can come up with something that gets us off of petroleum." And nobody had any good ideas. They had solar panels and windmills, and they had the promise of massive amounts of money from government grants. And so a lot of green industry is just creating vehicles to get, creating companies to get government money.
Yep.
They don't care if the end product is efficient, if it's environmentally friendly. They don't care about any of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
What that's done is it's very much inhibited any other kind of
Actual
innovation.
progress, yeah.
Interesting.
Because they've basically said, this is what green energy looks like, this is what we want, this is what we'll give you money for, and so nothing else is getting developed. There's no other.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that same problem, because it's all government money, there's no profit loss incentive.
Right.
So you'll find that the one of the things is that the batteries, right, that we need for all this EV stuff.
Yeah.
It's made from minerals mined in Africa usually,
Yeah.
and very often, though not universally, slave labor.
Right.
Right, and because there's no profit loss, there's no real connection to the customer, between the producer and the customer. The producer's getting away with murder, literally, over here in Africa.
Yeah.
And I get to feel self-righteous about my battery. This isn't good.
Well, and I think one of the interesting things is when you talk to people about green energy or the environment as a movement, there's kind of three parts to it. There's the actual technology, which we're not developing anything really new. We've kind of decided that batteries and solar panels and windmills are
The thing.
and we're just dumping billions of dollars into. I mean, my ancestors had windmills 1,000 years ago. This is not new technology.
Yeah.
That's not progress.
We've not made a lot
It's
of.
regress.
Yeah, we made. They're better now than those ones were, but they're not that much better.
But there's still a windmill.
So we're kind of in a cul-de-sac, I think, as far as where we're developing new technologies, and that's not going anywhere. So the green industry is taking advantage of government programs and making massive amounts of money on selling this paranoia. And but then you've got the green movement, which are like the people that are concerned about oil and gas. But if you get into that discussion with them, you find out that this is kind of a Trojan horse, and it's got a bunch of communists inside.
Yes.
Good.
It's not about saving the environment. And you see what they did to Elon Musk, right? Tesla. Everybody was all over Tesla. Tesla was amazing, and Elon Musk was this god. And people found out that he was making money.
Right.
And now
Because he was a good businessman.
because he was a good businessman, and it wasn't about that. For some odd reason, it wasn't. They didn't want that. And now he's conservative. He's supporting Trump, and he's done. As far as the green movement goes, he is persona non grata.
Well, Chrystia Freeland said the other day she wants a 100% tax on all Teslas imported into Canada, which is just hysterical.
Right, because we should just plug our nose and go with that if that's what it's going to take to save the environment. Except that it's never really been about the environment. And I don't know when the green movement got co-opted by
the commies?
By commies, but it did.
It did.
Definitely did at some point.
I don't
know. Where green energy is free energy. And once we get all these windmills, they're going to build windmills and solar farms until we've got socialism.
And kill all the birds while they're at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember reading something one time. I think it was a study from Australia. Somebody was like, "Yeah, we need solar. We got a desert out here with all sorts of sun. Like, we need solar." And then some bright spark went and did the math on it and realized that we would need to cover half of the continent of Australia with solar panels just to supply Sydney with enough power. I think just Sydney, Melbourne, like maybe two cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the thing with solar and wind is that, and they talk about, it can power thousands of houses. Well, houses don't use that much power.
No, it's not the houses.
It's not
that
the
use
houses.
power.
You got lights, and you got a refrigerator, and you got a stove maybe. Industry takes an enormous amount of power. You're not going to run a pulp and paper mill, or you're not going to run
An aluminum smelter.
you're not going to run that stuff on green energy, on solar panels and windmills. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you have to run that on cheap energy.
You're also not going to run artificial intelligence on solar panels.
Well, you can run plenty of artificial intelligence on solar panels. I'm telling you, that's what these government people have been doing. Oh, you're talking about computing. Oh, yeah. Never mind. I thought you were talking. Yeah, my bad. So one of an interesting historical case of something that you're talking about here is in the pre-war period, the Americans with the New Deal thing, they invested a pile of money in hydroelectric dams on the West Coast. On the Columbia River and all those rivers running through the Rocky Mountains. Yeah. Huge amounts of money were spent on building hydroelectric dams. And then by the time the Japanese decided that they were going to show up at Pearl Harbor uninvited, the American electrical generation, like their capacity for electrical generation, was an order of magnitude higher than anyone else in the world. And at the time, aluminum smelting in particular was electricity intensive.
Yeah.
And the Americans were producing so much aluminum that nobody else could compete. And that was one of the main reasons driving the innovation in the aircraft industry, because they had this new material they could work with that was lighter and stronger. And so that gave them an edge in 1944 and 45 when these plane designs start rolling off the line.
Yeah.
And aluminum. Yeah. Planes lighter, faster, more powerful. Yeah, and it started with power generation.
Well, I mean, as far as I know, the W.A.C. Bennett Dam in BC was also built for aluminum smelting in the Kitimat area.
Yeah, I think that's true.
That's what it was
originally designed for.
Yeah.
Because it takes a tremendous amount of power to make aluminum. But there was, in terms of green energy projects, I was looking at, there was an article the other day about, and you've probably seen them, there's these solar thermal plants that they built in the Mojave Desert. And they have all the mirrors that point at the tower and boil water.
Yep.
And that was a big thing in 2012, 2014. They're just quietly dismantling them now. They've never worked. They had massive environmental damage. They because birds would just light on fire if they flew over them.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet they would.
Yeah,
roast chicken.
Those chickens don't fly like that.
Because you'd see them fly into it and they'd light on fire and come out the other side. So they spent billions of dollars on that. And
it didn't work.
And it never worked. Yeah. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. It gave politicians something they could talk to in the news about. Oh, look, we're saving you. We've got something on the go here. Yeah. And it made investors in those companies very, very rich. Yeah. That's all it did.
The windmills, I'm sure they're going to go that way too.
Yeah.
I think they are in places where they've had them for longer than us.
Yeah.
I think they're already.
Germany in particular has been dismantling them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you know how much oil it takes to lubricate the drive motor?
Awful lot.
Yeah.
If you ever had the misfortune of being behind one of those windmill things when it's being driven down the highway on the way to its destination, those are huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're huge.
And the energy required to make that. It was energy we dug out of the ground. Like all technical innovation requires power. Like you have to have power, you have to have energy. And that's where they call them fossil fuels. I don't think there's a fossil involved in it, but oil and gas, hydrocarbons, they're such a compact store of energy.
Right.
I think it's a gallon of diesel has 139,000 BTU.
140,000 usually.
Yeah, and then propane is like 120.
Yeah.
And natural gas is like 105, 110.
A standard cubic feet is 1,000. Oh, sorry, 1,001.
1,001. Yeah. So natural gas per if you go not quite per volume but close, it's maybe 25% less efficient than diesel or 20%. But you get so much more of it out of the ground for so much less effort.
Well, like diesel is a fuel that's ideal for transportation.
Yeah.
And bunker C for offshore.
Oh, yeah.
shipping is amazing.
Yes.
Natural gas for industrial processes is amazing.
Beautiful. You put it in a pipeline, plug it into the building.
and plug it into the building, and you get massive amounts of energy.
Yeah.
And it's relatively clean, and it's cheap, and it's
Very cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need cheap energy to make stuff and to make progress. I remember I was at I think it was the 2023 WTI oil show in Houston, I think. And this guy gave a lecture on this very topic, on going from one energy source to another.
Yeah.
And he had a graph. Graphs are beautiful. But he had how much, it was the 1800s, and how much wood was consumed in a year by Americans to heat their homes.
Right.
And he said, okay, so that we're using wood energy from time immemorial. And then in the 1820s, 1830s, coal starts to show up in the American market. And coal, at first, coal usage was exclusively in the steel industry. So Standard Oil, like Rockefeller, he had all that steel stuff. So, but then it started getting into, domestic stuff. And if you look at the graph, people are still using wood, but it took about 40 years for people to 50% switch from coal or from wood to coal.
Yeah.
And then, so your 1820s to your 1880s-ish, 1870s-ish, and that displaces 50% of the wood. But it doesn't just displace 50% of the wood. It actually increases the amount of energy being consumed because you can use it for more things. It's more efficient.
Yeah.
Like 1 pound of coal is more efficient than a cord of wood. So it takes less space.
Takes way less space.
And you get more out of it. So you can use more of it to do more things. And then they start bringing in diesel. Like diesel starts coming in, oil and diesel, bunker C type oils start coming in the 1880s, 1890s. And then you have your Texas oil boom in the 1910. Same thing with California. And then people start using this stuff because it's better than coal. And so oil starts taking over, and you got about 40 to 50 years, which puts you right into World War II before it overtakes
coal.
Yeah. So one of the things that the Royal Navy in particular very famously switched from coal-fired boilers on their ships to oil-fired just before World War I. So they were ahead of the curve. That was Lord Fisher. Interesting cat. But anyway, you get this transition period, and then, after the war, coal, it doesn't go away because you need it for all sorts of things.
Right.
Steel. But oil takes off. And then he was looking at it. He's like, so you got from the end of the war, so 1950-ish, to 1990-ish, oil is dominant. Absolutely dominant. But natural gas starts coming online in the late 80s, early 90s. We start figuring out what we can do with this. So he said it's going to take 40 years for natural gas to displace 50% of oil. So 90, so we're just about there. And lo and behold, the numbers are almost lining up. And then natural gas will have that predominance. And then when something else gets introduced, it'll take 40 years, roughly, to displace 50%. So it's like you need the previous energy source. All this to say, you need the previous energy source to fund the next.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we found the next yet. I mean, the thing is, I was I think in the 1870s, the head of the patent office in the United States said that within 10 years, the patent office would shut down because
there's just no more stuff to discover.
We've kind
We found it all.
we found it all. We're not going to have anything to do, right? And this was
that generation.
before airplanes were invented. This is before computers were invented. So we can sit here now and we can go, well, shucks, we figured it all out. But we haven't. There's something out there that we got to figure out yet.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure one of our boys, while they're playing in the backyard, will discover a new form of energy.
Yeah, maybe. And what it'll be, I don't know. If I knew, I would be on it.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't know. But it
Well, nuclear is been in use for a good while. I know it's got a terrible reputation because of what happens when it blows.
Tree Island, Chernobyl.
But someone was talking recently about the what is it that powers Ontario, for instance, and it's
largely.
upwards of 60% in Ontario. the grid is powered by nuclear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's, it was like I was saying earlier, where there's a certain maturity that we need to have. I think nuclear scares the willies out of us.
Yeah.
And rather than saying, well, we're going to have to figure this out, we're going to have to gain in maturity, and we just are burying it back in the ground again. Because all those in Ontario, all those nuclear power plants they're old, and they are not getting replaced, and they're probably not going to get replaced.
Right.
And, there was a.
You think maybe nuclear is way ahead of its time?
I think that I don't think it's way ahead of its time. I think that people just lost their nerve in the 70s and the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped landing on the moon. We, for whatever reason, we stopped forward progress. We just got scared, and we kind of fell back on.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened in the 60s.
Well, we lost our confidence.
It was drugs.
I was going to say, nobody from the 60s knows what happens in the 60s either.
So nobody remembers that decade.
Everybody smoked too much.
But we kind of are playing it safe since then. So we've got to, they built a lot of nuclear reactors in the 60s, I think, in the early 70s. They were and then not.
And not,
after that. So it's definitely something that we've got to have the courage, I think, to use.
Yeah.
But the green movement doesn't like it.
No.
Right? They really don't like it.
Green movement just wants society to end.
Well, green movement is profoundly anti-human.
Yes.
Yeah.
Profoundly so.
Yeah.
But they have this. They feel like they're on the moral high ground because they've identified all the curses in the world, and they don't like them.
Yeah.
They want to end them.
It's like, wow, I don't like those curses either.
Yeah, as if some of us do like them. As if some of us like it when stuff dies, or
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Like, I drive into Grand Prairie, Alberta on a day when it's minus 40 degrees outside. And I'm thankful for oil and gas, because this city would not exist way up in the north without it.
Yeah.
100%.
But they would say, of course, the city wouldn't have to exist. We could all just frolic in the rainforests and in Central America and eat grapes
and just let the north stay cold and untouched.
Well, maybe there's just too many people.
Yeah, there's just too many people. There are lots of people who think that way.
Malthusians.
Malthusians,
But the direction that the green movement is taking, I think, is actually becoming an existential crisis of some form.
Well, I think it's not working because the idea is that feral nature is somehow beautiful, but it's not.
No,
not at all. It's
Nature.
red in tooth and claw.
Yeah. You can stand on the top of a mountain and look at a beautiful valley, and it's beautiful, and that's what they do. They go out of their back door onto the hiking trails, and they see, and it's gorgeous. But they don't see the weasel, killing the rabbit, and they don't see the wolves chasing down baby deer, and they don't look at that stuff.
None of that. Yeah.
They don't want to see it. They don't think. But that's nature. Feral nature is
the ant
cruel.
colony wars.
Yeah.
That's one thing I appreciated about the Riot and the Dance documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gordon Wilson points that out. He's like, here's animals mistreating each other.
Here's a bug eating another bug.
Yeah.
Well, and he points out that the curse even extends to animals. Like you'll get these arguments nowadays based on morality based on the animal kingdom.
Right.
As if we can take any moral lessons from the animal kingdom.
Right.
I mean, the amount of rape and that's going on there is insane.
Yes.
We can't
We can't do that.
we can't do that. But that's all probably part of the curse.
Yeah.
And humans actually need to have a role in
Yes.
shepherding creation.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a dog that was once a wolf, like that's there you are. You've done something to actually positively affect nature.
Yeah, we need to cut down the brambles. We need to pull up the weeds, and we need to the forests will thrive better if we actually tend to them.
Yes.
We actually manage them.
We get these horrible forest fires now because we've let the forest just basically go feral.
Yep.
And now they burn down, and all the poor little creatures in there all burn down, and it's horrible.
I get to preach tomorrow on Genesis 2, and I say almost exactly that.
Yeah, we're supposed to manage those things.
We're supposed to take care of them, and so to say, well, the only real problem in the world right now is the humans, and if we just got rid of the humans and let nature go back to nature, it would be beautiful, is, I think, patently false. Like it's an evil and wicked.
Yep.
Well, that's why we would let places like Jasper burn down, right? Because I'm not saying that was done, but
Right. Well, it was in fact done where the idea was that was flowing through the minds of those in charge of the forests was that man's hand on this is worse than not. And so keep men out of there. Don't go in. Don't clean up underbrush. Don't touch it.
Just leave it. Yeah.
Leave it.
Yeah, Jasper was far less flammable in the 60s and 70s when they managed it.
Yeah.
yeah,
But and then the funny part is that they change the goalposts too, right? Where nature is beautiful and it will just thrive without human existence, and then when it doesn't, then nature still then they change the definition of what beauty is, right? And so this is still good. It's still Jasper burnt down, isn't it wonderful?
yeah.
And you can't say, well, but it's not wonderful, like because they're using nature now as their moral compass,
As the standard.
Yeah. Yeah, that is funny. And you know what? Oil and gas. One of the things we do is we go into Crown land. And we've got roads everywhere. We've got leases everywhere. So we're building the infrastructure that could be used for forest management later.
Yes, and not just forest management, but it could be used for all kinds of the development of society and culture and towns. If you
Well, we're taming,
this is something in northern Canada where we are, like there around Grand Prairie. There's a great deal of farmland. There's lots of it around here. There's lots of it that's still buried under forests.
Oh yeah.
And the people that open that kind of thing up are the oil companies.
Yep.
Because they're building roads. They build ways in and out. And then people can come in there, and then they can, the dream happens in the young fellow's mind and says, boy, wouldn't that look really good with a house right there and a field right there.
And a wife and 10
little kids.
Well, one of the places we work pretty commonly up in northern BC, up by 101.
Yeah.
When you go up the 109 road and you go up the Gundy Main, when I first went up there in 2011, 2010, 2011, there was nothing up there. There was a road.
Yeah.
When I go up there now, there's 3 or 4 large ranches. Just you go off the highway, you go down this oil road, and then all of a sudden, bam, cattle. And you're like, where did the cow come from? Because that cow was not there 10 years ago. I mean, there was nothing there 10 years ago. That was swamp. And I'm looking at swamp, and I see there's a house, there's a barn, there's a tractor, here's a field, there's some cows. It's all there.
Yeah, and that's the start down the road of civilization.
Yeah.
It's moving the world from the garden to the city.
Yep.
That's really what it's doing.
Yeah.
And there's an aspect of the curse there too, right? Bad things are going to happen.
Yep.
The animals are going to die. We're going to plow up fields, and there's a guy that wrote a book, The Moral Case for Fossil Fuel.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
Alex Epstein.
Yeah.
I've read that book.
Read that.
Yeah.
I was at a conference with him up in Alaska one time, and somebody from one of the native villages from up on the coast in the Arctic stood up and asked him a question. They said, so our village it's our traditional village, and we've been there for thousands of years, and it's on the coast of the Arctic, and as the ice melts, it's going to get flooded out, and we're going to basically, we're going to lose all of that cultural heritage that we have. And he said, well, so they were like, well, how can you say that fossil fuel is moral if we're losing everything because of it? And the point he made was, the alternative is that we just cut it out, and thousands of people in California, thousands of old people die every time that there's a heat wave in California, right? The alternative is it's not everything is wonderful and we get rid of oil and gas and everything is just the same, and you get to keep your village. There's trade-offs here.
Yep.
So yes, you might lose your village, but we have oil and gas we can send vehicles, we can send helicopters, we can move you out to another area, and there's other areas that are opening up because of oil and gas, because of development. And you can move, and you might, and it's sad that you have to move it, but you have that option now, where if we go back to coal, or we go back to, then you don't have any options.
Yeah.
You're just stuck on that coast, and if the water comes up,
You're done.
you're done. And that's how it was 1,000 years ago too. That was the
I mean, we find villages underwater all the time in Europe.
yeah.
That's an archaeological discipline.
It's called Holland.
Yeah.
It's called Holland.
Yeah. Well, I was reading an article recently where they were arguing that the Black Sea used to be a freshwater lake until it was suddenly flooded.
Yeah.
Wonder what would have caused that. But anyway, because currently the currents out of the Black Sea run from the Black Sea to the Med, and so they were arguing that at some point it went the other way, and they actually found a water line underneath the Black Sea where there were remains of villages around the old coastline before it got flooded, and that would have flooded very, very quickly. Like,
Yeah, and they probably would have died.
yeah, those people drowned.
Yeah.
Right. And they figure it was, a couple 5,000-6,000 years ago. So that sounds about like a flood timeline.
It's like a flood might have happened. Eh?
Yeah, flood might have happened.
A
But
worldwide flood, in fact.
yes, so which would have definitely gotten into the Black Sea. But but the whole idea of human flourishing to me is very compelling. And yeah, there are trade-offs,
Yep.
but some of the trade-offs are worth it.
I mean,
Well, and we're trying to mitigate the trade-offs too.
right.
And I think
That's where Alex
important.
Epstein has a problem, right? Because he's a secular philosopher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for him, there's this point where he wants to stop, right? He wants to make trade-offs, but
Yeah.
he doesn't really have any moral
Reason.
standard
Yeah.
for what that would look like,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And that's why for us to say, well, Adam was created to tend the garden. This is our job. This is what we're here to do.
Yeah.
He's not so sure about that because we just randomly showed up
We are. Yeah.
100,000 years ago for who knows what reason, but
Yeah.
and he's trying to make that have reason,
Right.
right? So
He doesn't have a telos.
so we have a much stronger case for
Yeah.
the moral use of fossil fuels than anyone else does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, is that makes work, like showing up to work on a Monday morning, purposeful. I'm taming nature.
Yeah.
I'm wrestling the dragon.
Yeah.
Energy, we often refer to pressure as a dragon. This can kill you if you're not careful with it. But we're wrestling with this dragon
Yeah.
to try and help my neighbor. This is me loving my neighbor, but this is also me fulfilling the dominion mandate. So for me to show up to work, it's very rewarding and satisfying. I get paid well. I get to work with some really interesting people. But at the end of the day, I'm doing something meaningful that has positive benefit for many, many, many more people than I'll ever know.
Yeah, and that's not just because of the amount of money the CRA takes from you.
No, but there's that too.
There's that too. You're supporting a lot of families.
I'm supporting a lot of bureaucrats. Yeah.
But yeah, we are like it's serving your neighbor. It's and it's hard work and it's backbreaking work and you could die.
Yes.
I mean it's one of the things in the
dangerous.
oil and gas industry that's an ever present thing is that people die. I think we probably all have rolled up on incidents where people have died. I'm sure you have. I know I have several.
Yep.
It's something that we deal with in the oil and gas industry, and we think it's worth. We still work in the industry because we think it's worth it.
Yep.
We think it's.
Yeah.
We feel that strongly about how moral it is to produce oil and gas.
Yeah, I know of two guys who've gotten blown up or hit by explosions. I've seen accidents along the highway.
Yeah, I've rolled past several accidents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you.
And I've only been in it for 9 months, so
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I know a couple guys that have been blown up as well.
Yeah.
Two of them very spectacularly. Both
Yeah.
survived
Yeah.
in that one case. But
Yeah.
Can we talk about the term fossil fuels
Ooh.
just a bit?
yeah.
Because there's something that's the designation that has been given to oil and gas with the assumption that it all came from somewhere and it's old dead decayed stuff that turns
Right.
into
Stuff that leached down.
right.
Yeah. Personally, I reject that.
You reject that term
100%. I don't believe
fossil fuels.
I don't believe one bit
You
of
don't
it.
believe in fossil fuels.
No, because we don't really know much of what goes on in the Earth's core, but we know it's hotter, and we know it's hotter because whenever we drill a hole, we get really incredible bottom hole temperatures. Like if you drill a well, depending on the formation, but your like your lower Montney, your fluid will be coming back to surface sometimes at 90 to 100 degrees Celsius. Now, if you drill Upper Montney or your Duvernay closer to Grand Prairie, or even over by, if you go to Valley View and you go south down the Smoky River, on the east side of the river, your bottom hole temperatures will be like 30, 35 degrees. But yeah, you start coming over to Grand Prairie, it's closer to 50 degrees. But you get up to 101 up in there, you're 90 degrees, 85 to 90 to 100 degrees. So there's heat down there, and there's stuff down there. And I think heat and stuff plus water equals oil and gas. I think that the Earth is generating this stuff. What do you think?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I think it's a tough thing to actually deal with because the presumption is that these layers were laid down over billions
of years,
maybe trillions of years. I mean, who even knows? And so when you say the Montney, you're referring to a geological formation that geologists know was created, 1 billion years ago. In August.
Yes, they know it.
In August, yeah.
Right. Well, it might be, plus or minus 1 billion years. Who knows?
And a month.
Yeah. So there isn't a lot of actual thought or research being put into anything other than that. We've just kind of gone with that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah.
Right.
We're talking about coal seams with someone and the carbon 14 in coal. Coal is not very old. It's 5,000 or 6,000 years old. It's quite recent. So for us to find it in formations that are billions of years old, it's a bit anachronistic.
Yeah.
But what it is, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. I know that it's not what we think it is. I think that it's possibly created under the mantle, and that it's seeping up from inside the Earth's core.
Yeah.
I don't think that there would be any real issue with saying that it was created in the flood, though.
No, it could have been.
It could have been.
Yeah. Because there was a lot of things we don't understand geologically that happened then.
That happened in the flood, right?
And there was so much water swirling around and burying things and burying living things. And
well,
could be created that way.
One of the things about the flood too, where did all the water go?
Right. You also have to assume the truth of God if you're going to think this way.
Yeah, but if you look at Genesis 6, you're like, where did all the water go? And when we drill a hole in the ground, what do we always find?
We find lots of water.
A ton of very salty, slightly radioactive, gross tasting. Trust me, I've tried. And water. That was involuntary, by the way. I was not drinking.
It used to be a thing where you drink radium water, so
yes,
it was very healthy.
It was. Yeah. That was back before we understood that you could get stomach cancer that way. But yeah, every well we drill, we get water. I remember the first time I had you, Nathan, on a drilling rig. It was Neighbors 97. It was a walking rig, and it was down on the Sunset pasture. We went down there to go run some heating lines, and this would have been, what year were you up here? 2014. So we went to run some heating lines, and so we had to run these hoses behind the shale tank underneath the mud, the shale shakers. So you got the shale shakers above you, and then the mud tank beside you, in this tiny little space to run your stuff, and then the gas buster and whatnot. And we just finished hooking up our stuff, and we stepped back, and then I was going to show Nathan what the next step in the process was, and then all of a sudden, these two shale shakers just erupt. Like, we're talking water coming out of those things. It buried the shakers. You couldn't see them. And it was more than head height because the roughneck comes running along, and he's got to shut the valve because they're spilling water everywhere. He's got to shut the valve to contain this mess, but it's on the other side of the shakers. And so Nathan and I are standing there watching this guy, and you can see him. He's kind of like looking at the situation. There's just water erupting out of these two things. And he's just like, he braces himself, runs in, gets completely like to the bone soaked, can't see. It knocks his hard hat off. He runs back out, kind of shakes himself off, puts his hard hat back on, looks at it again. He's like, and he's drenched, and he's going to be drenched now for the next 12 hours. Like the shift has just started. He knows this. He's going to be miserable. Braces himself, gets through this water to the valve on the other side, closes it in, and then the water stops. And then Nathan looks at me and he's like, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh, I think they just hit a water pocket." They're probably at about 800 meters at that point. I mean, that's surface drilling, but
Right.
yeah, high pressure water.
And we're starting in this area. We're starting to use that water for fracking, which I like. It's
Right.
it's cardium water,
Yep.
so it's not fresh water.
It's not.
It's and so we're not using surface water anymore. We're starting to use that, and there's a lot of it.
Oh, so much.
Yeah.
Tourmaline, one of the companies that I work for a lot, their northern projects use predominantly produced water.
Yeah.
So it's stuff that came out of wells.
Yeah.
You cannot put it into a creek. It would kill the fish.
Yeah.
It's very salty. It's,
Very salty.
But it's always water. You run into water when
Every-
you drill down.
Every hole.
Is that the stuff they store in the flock tanks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got hit by a bunch of that stuff once too.
Yeah, it tastes terrible, doesn't it?
I opened the wrong valve and then quickly shut it.
Children, if any of you are listening, the first thing that you learn in the oil field is do not touch any valve unless you know what you're doing.
And I was taught that too. So
I remember hearing a theory of the production of natural gas, that the business of fracking, where you send down into the shale way down below, you send water down there, you send sand down there, and that maybe it's the case that the water coming in contact with what's down there is what creates the bloom of natural gas.
That's a theory. It's not been proven, but it's
No.
potential.
We have no idea what's going
Yeah.
on down in these wells. It's just, I mean, even I explained to you what propant does. We're pretty sure that's what propant does.
Yeah, so we've
right,
got
right. We're pretty sure.
we've got a lot of science that is resolved in a maybe.
Yes.
This is not anything you can really observe. So,
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
sit down, somebody sits down and does a thought experiment,
Yeah.
and then we apply it. And it's
Did
one
it
of
work?
the wonderful things about the oil patch. Is
Yeah.
that you can have a wild and crazy idea and say, you know what, maybe we should try it, and people will try it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it works, and so you just assume that what you
works.
thought
Okay.
of is how it works. But
Yes.
maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
maybe it just worked that way this time.
yeah.
Yeah, or in this formation.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that we discovered was that if you're going to be fracking over by, I think it's Swan Lake, that's all limestone downhole. And so we use acid. We don't use water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because hydrochloric acid eats limestone. And we don't use water over by Swan Lake, but we don't use that much acid anywhere else because it's all either sandstone or shale or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, we do, the geologists, when we drill, they're looking at what we're drilling in, and so we do kind of understand what's down there.
Right.
But why?
But scientific certainty is out of reach still.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, anybody who says this is exactly how this all works is, I mean, they're overselling it.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
But you kind of have to, because if you go, to the general public and you say this is how
We think
we think it works, we're pretty sure this is what we're doing.
they're like, what?
Yeah, isn't that?
They'd
somewhat
rather know
risky?
for sure.
Yeah. Seems risky, but
Yeah.
So, can I kind of shift this conversation to another? I think this is an important question to just briefly reflect on. What impact does Christian piety, have on your work in the oil patch and what you're trying to accomplish in the oil patch?
I think that there's a crisis right now in the world in general, and you're seeing it in aviation, you're seeing it across the board, where people don't know why we're doing this anymore. The public schools have done a terrific job of creating completely vacuous
Yeah.
ideological children. They don't know what we're doing here.
They've been remarkably effective at that.
Yeah. And so they're looking for some kind of meaning. They're looking for, and the interesting thing is that the drive is still there.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
they want
But
to go
why?
out, but they don't know why they're doing it. And so you know, to be a Christian in the oil and gas industry, you're working with a lot of men. You're working with a lot of young men, and you're working with a lot of I don't want to say uneducated, but a lot of them they're not college, university students. They're the kids that kind of rebelled against the whole system, and they wanted to go out and work, and they wanted to make money.
Yeah.
And so I think the oil and gas industry is a very effective industry to meet those kinds of people. And they're looking for some reason. They're looking for purpose. They're looking for an answer to these kinds of questions, right?
And they're looking for dignity because many of them, not all, but many, were told by their teachers in school, you'll never amount to much.
Yeah. They'll just work
yeah.
in the oil and gas industry and you know, destroy the environment and they don't feel that that's what they're doing, but they don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah. And they're seen by society as greedy because of the amount of money that they make. And
Yeah, and they're you know, Alberta in general is seen by you know, you look at the way Eastern Canada views us. We're a bunch of redneck, you know, not very smart, hardworking. You know, we make too much money and we spend too much money, and that's how they're viewed. And some of them just embrace it and they roll with it, and that's exactly what they are. And
Yeah.
but there's a lot of them that are looking for answers to that.
so I guess to some degree then, because I know a bunch of guys from the church work for your company, I guess to some degree what you're communicating is the goodness of service to Jesus Christ in the midst of the oil and gas industry.
Yeah, yeah, and that there's nothing wrong with hard work.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with
Making lots of money.
making money. There's nothing wrong with producing hydrocarbons for people's use. You know, we're not hedonists. We're not taking advantage. We're this is something sustainable that we're trying to create.
You know, something that is important in our thinking here in Christ Covenant Church, we really want people to attend services. We want people to be able to be there. You know, in days of old, when the Sabbatarian notions were much stronger than they are now, you know, that might be a disciplinary issue. Well, it still could be. I mean, depends on the reason. But we've got a bunch of guys who are connected to the oil patch, and you know, we can say to those guys, we can say, well, you ought to be in church on Sunday. Well, it's not really possible on so many levels, right? Because if you've got a job, you can't just shut it down. It'll take you a long time to get it up and running again.
Yeah.
Right?
In the winters
It's that sort of industry.
It's shift work, yeah.
But there is lots, you know, and I think there's pipelines and there's facilities where they absolutely could shut down on Sunday.
Okay.
And some of them do. And actually recently some of them have changed their policies to shut down on Sunday.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
encouraging someone a little while ago to do the Daniel thing, right? Because they're like, oh, we work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day because we got to get this stuff done. So I'll tell them, you know, let's take Sunday off because I'm pretty sure actually productivity will go up.
Yeah.
Even though we take that day off.
It does.
And it does.
It does.
It does go up. And companies have noticed that.
And I would think that as the gospel works its salt and light into the oil and gas industry, that we will see more of a respect for the Lord's Day as time goes on.
Yeah.
But you do see it. Like there's I know guys in the patch that they take Sunday off because it's the Lord's Day.
Yep.
You know, that's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also, like back in the day, like when you were in the Merchant Marine, right? You were on that ship for 5-6 months.
Yeah.
So they would take a chaplain. And they would have a guy and he would run chapel service. This is something I think that as the gospel permeates our society more, I think we're going to start seeing that in the oil field. In
The oil field chaplains.
Yes.
I mean, there was up in northern Alaska there was church services in those camps on Sunday mornings and Sunday evenings.
So you can get both shifts in.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something that was done there, and it had been done forever. There was a lot of Christian guys up there.
And it could be done here too.
Oh yeah, it absolutely could be.
Yeah.
But we don't, as Christians, we don't own this industry at all. This is it's a very pagan industry, but it is changed drastically since I started in it.
Yeah.
Like,
It has, yeah.
there's companies that have banned pornography, I think, almost across the board.
Awesome.
Yeah, because it used to be you'd walk into a doghouse and that was what was on the wall. And now you can't.
And you don't. And
Yeah.
I know I was talking to a company man one time, and he said they basically asked their employees, they said, hey, do you guys want to ban pornography? He said across the board it was positive.
Wow.
Yes, let's
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So,
it's actually
awesome.
changed quite a bit there.
yeah, a lot of that stuff has changed.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and just the attitude that people have to each other. You know, when I first started in 06, 07, it was just the tail end of that old school.
Yeah.
You know, there were consultants that if you went in their job shack, they'd make you cry, and they were proud of that fact.
Oh, yeah.
And you would see these grown men, you'd see these 50-year-old men coming out of their job shack, bawling their eyes out, and that was just they knew how to tear people apart.
Yeah.
And that's gone. That's
gone.
There's none of that in the patch anymore. But it was very much that kind of an industry. So it is changing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's becoming Christian yet, but it is.
It's going in the right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much going that direction.
Well, you used to see more open cocaine use too.
Well, yeah, I mean, it used to be the norm. I mean, there was the consultant shack was just a snow globe. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember walking into a consultant shack one time. It was 10 o'clock in the morning, and I needed him to sign some paperwork. And this is when I worked with you, and he was on the phone with our sales guy. And I walk in, and what I hear is, "I swear to you, Mike, I'm not drunk yet. I know it's 10:30. I haven't started drinking yet. My rum is sitting right here. As soon as I'm done talking to you, I'll start." Okay. Send me the bill. And he hangs up and then looks at me, pours himself a rum, and I'm like, then he's like, "You want one?" And I'm like, "No, thanks. I got to drive."
I know. The sad part is I know exactly where you were too.
Yes, you do, and you know the guy.
But yeah, it was like they would wake up in the morning and start drinking, and they would drink all
that's
day.
sad.
I worked with this one guy named Shaky. And he was called Shaky because the alcohol shakes would go away after his third or fourth beer in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as an industry, they used to tolerate that, and
Yeah.
in fact, some companies would encourage it.
Yeah. And now it's
not. Nobody's tolerating it.
Yeah.
They're certainly not encouraging it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're getting, and you know I talked about it back then too. Is you want family men in the industry? The industry was absolutely poison for families. They were all divorced.
Yep.
Men. You almost couldn't have a future in the industry if you didn't get divorced, because you were just expected to work 30 days a month.
Right.
You know, including in February, and you just couldn't have a family.
Yeah.
So there were all these, you know, when I was coming in, there were all these angry, sad old men that had nothing, that had a lot of money and nothing else.
Yeah.
And so that there was very much a need for change, and everybody saw it, and everybody's changing that.
Changing, yeah. Like, at my company, I'm not the only guy with 6 kids
Yeah.
in the company. Right? Like one of my good friends and coworkers, he's also a Christian. He's got 6 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's another crew cabber in the company. So it's more common, much more common now for that. Yeah. And another thing I've seen is if you have family issues, let's say, my employer will send you home to take care of that right now.
Yeah, and that used to be very, very uncommon.
Yeah. You couldn't go to your employer and say, "Hey, I need to go home."
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Your wife is getting a baby, that's too bad.
Yeah. Your kids are sick, let them die. Who
Yeah.
cares? You're working.
You're working, and if you went home, that was the last day you worked. That was you were fired. So
Wow.
Yeah.
But
It's definitely not that way
it's
now.
not that way anymore. No.
Yeah.
Alrighty. What You want to start wrapping us up there,
Yeah, I
Jamie?
think we could. I think this has been a really good conversation. Thanks very much, Jeremy, for coming in. And it's been a delight. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
There's just lots. There's a whole bunch of things we never even touched on that we could have gone. And
maybe another time.
Maybe another time we can do that again.
Yeah.
So thanks, Jeremy, and it's been a delight to be able to converse with you. We are here on the Chinook podcast. Nathan Zeckveld, Brad Donovan, Jamie Souls. It's our delight to be able to sit around a table and converse, and to be able to record it and have you folks be able to listen in. We are very much desirous that the Lord would move by his Spirit in Alberta, that he would shake things up, that he would move and bring a whole bunch of people from death to life, that he would move like that Chinook wind rolling off the mountains and warm up the frozen and give them life again. That's our desire to see. And if that's your desire to see, well, why don't you contact us? We'd love to talk to you. And if you're in Grand Prairie and you need a place to go to church, you should come to Christ Covenant Church, and we'll see you there.